Billiken fans? Welcome to the unnamed, unofficial Billiken show on YouTube. This is going to be the outlet for the rest of the year for me. Basically, I don't want to get into it too much, but there was no way I could continue that podcast, the house that Rick built, and upload my own stuff. I didn't have any access to any of the accounts that I needed to get into to do it, and it was difficult getting things scheduled, and I'll leave it at that. But this is the unnamed, unofficial, unsanctioned Billiken show. I'm joined by Peter Hale. This is an interim show in place of what will be the new creative outlet. We're going to finish up this season with this YouTube show and then regroup over the summer with a new name, podcast, video channel, etc. I want to give a special thanks, first of all, to all the players who came on the house that Rick built, all the guests, especially Ross Chaffetz and all the listeners, and definitely the sponsors, including Manscaped and Jason Keenan over at Mortgage Partners Group. I just want to let you guys know this is going to be a learning process for me. I had very little technical involvement in the production of the show, the house that Rick built. So I'm going to be learning a lot as I go, and I'd like to thank SB Unfurled, actually, for reaching out and offering his assistance in any editing I may or may not need. But let's get into it. Peter, welcome to the show. It's going to be fun to kind of wing this. We're going to wing this for a few weeks and see where it takes us.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, Zach. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's always fun. I love to talk Billiken basketball. I really don't care who it is. I'll talk to the guy at the bar next to me, of course, in non-COVID times.
I'm glad to be that guy.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure a lot of people are glad it's you and not them.
No comment.
Just to recap, the week in Billiken athletics, women's soccer went 2-0. A 4-1 win at against McKendree at Robert R. Herman Stadium. Hannah Larson in the 52nd minute, Jess Pricer 54th minute, Hannah Friedrich in the 57th, and Brianna Arthur in the 73rd. Not necessarily great to concede a goal to McKendree, a non-Division I team, but and I'm sure Katie Shields won't be too happy to have that happen. As well, they conceded a goal in a 4-1 win against Kansas City. I believe that was yesterday after the men's game. Hannah Larson in 34th minute, Annabelle Copeland in the 38th minute, Emily Groark in the 60th, and Lindsay Heckel in the 75th. On tap next week for the women's soccer team, they have Xavier on the 12th of February. Xavier's the 2019 Big East Tournament champions. They lost in the second round of the NCAA tournament to Kansas 2-0. Of course, the Billiken women lost in the first round against Notre Dame 1-0. Did you catch any of the action, Pete? I'm gonna ask you. I'm not expecting that you did, but just seeing if you saw any of it.
Just highlights. Unfortunately, they're seems like they've got a lot of roster turnover this year, but it's nice to see a lot of different names on the score sheet in 2 games. Xavier will be a big test. That's a program, both their men's and women's, an example of what can happen to your program after you move up to a major conference and have those resources. Both of their programs have really taken off.
That's right in your backyard. I don't know if people really know that you're in the state of Ohio, the Cincinnati area to be specific.
Yeah, I live within walking distance to the University of Cincinnati, so Xavier is just like 2-3 miles from here.
Yeah, I don't actually believe they're playing that game in Cincinnati. I want to say they're playing it in Indiana, actually, which is interesting. I don't know how that came about, but yeah, it'll be a good one. I'm looking forward to watching. It's unbelievable. I think we have to note that we both have been fans long enough to remember a time when it was impossible to watch any minor, not minor, I don't want to call them minor, but any sport that doesn't get the attention as the major sports do, like soccer, softball, baseball, volleyball. I think we can remember a time when the only way you could watch these games was to go to the arena.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, really, and that was honestly true for a lot of men's basketball games too for a while. But yeah, now we've got everything almost to stream, and ESPN Plus in particular has been just unbelievable for the non-revenue sports.
Yeah, it's been great. I got to watch. I think I got to at least watch at least a half of every game this week that happened. I really take in way too much Billiken content. It is absurd. It's not healthy.
That's not possible.
That's true. That's true. Men's soccer also went 2-0 this weekend or week. They beat Kansas City 3-0. Stefan Stojanovic with a PK in the 15th minute, Patrick Weah in the 53rd minute, and then Mason Leeds finished off the game in the 88th minute en route to, of course, a 3-0 victory. They postponed Missouri State. It was supposed to be today. Looking out the window, and when I went out to Walgreens this morning, thank goodness they did postpone it because it is 13 degrees right now in St. Louis. So, I was a little confused as to why they postponed it, but I'm glad they did. I wouldn't want to be out there at all. Yeah,
at some point it stops being fun.
Yeah, that's going to be a weird quirk in the soccer this spring season. It's going to be really cold.
Yeah, but it does. Having the season flipped kind of prevents a situation like when we had the Final Four at Herman about 10 years ago.
Yep.
And there were just piles of snow in the corners
all around the field.
Yeah. So now it's going to be the opposite. We might have that in some early season games, but wherever the final is this year, it's going to be nice and warm.
It certainly reminds us why the MLS plays in the summer.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yesterday they replaced the Missouri State game with McKendree. They also beat McKendree 2-1. They gave up a really beautiful goal to McKendree early, and it was a little concerning. It was a rocket from about 30 to 40 yards out. But they came back. They tied the game in the 45th minute, literally a second before the final buzzer, which is obviously different than a normal soccer game where you would see extra time. But they brought up Patrick Schulte into the attacking third to take a free kick given up by McKendree. The ref called a halt to the time because of time wasting by McKendree. Schulte played the ball in. The ball was headed down to Chase Neese, headed in the air, and Chase Neese got on the end of it to head the ball in. And then he added the added the go-ahead goal, in the 65th minute, made no mistake and just slammed home the game-winning goal. Good weekend for both men and women's soccer teams. I mean, obviously you're playing McKendree, but anytime you can overcome adversity in any sport to pull out a win like they did against McKendree is good.
Yeah, definitely. And this is, like the women's team, there's a lot of young players on the team. Undeniably the most talented team in the A-10, which is why they're being picked to win it. But yeah, they're young enough to where they're going to have their moments early in the season, especially as they're kind of finding their footing. And, the season's weird in every sport. So goals to McKendree are going to happen, but it's going to just be a story of what can they get done in the A-10 this year.
I forgot to put it in our list because I think I was so frustrated with what happened. But moving on to volleyball, actually, I forgot to include them because I have a history with the volleyball team. I spent time around the volleyball team while I was in school, so it's close to my heart, and I get pretty passionate about the success and failure of the team when they do fail and when they do succeed. But the Billikens are now 0-3. I'll skim over the ones from last weekend. They lost 0-3 to number 24 Western Kentucky and 3-2 loss still at Bowling Green, Kentucky, to Evansville. On Friday, they took on VCU in Richmond, Virginia, and dropped their third game to VCU 3-1. VCU only really struggled with the Billikens in that third game where the Billikens took it 25-18. Otherwise, in the first game, it was 25-22, 25-21, and then 25-17. They finished the Billikens off. I wonder what's going to happen this season with Kent Miller and the program. Kent Miller usually is able to improve their record in the non-conference, which due to coronavirus, they're not going to have much of a non-conference. They didn't have a non-conference. They had 2 games leading up to the A10, and they've done pretty poorly in the A10 in the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I admit to not having been following the program nearly as closely as you, but I don't know. Is this a make or break season for him?
It's interesting because you always gotta everyone kind of wants to put an asterisk on the season. You know, in every sport, everywhere, you're kind of surprised to see coaches let go. I mean, they went, let's see, last season. Again, I literally had just forgotten that I missed this until we got to this point. Last season was 17-12. They were 10-4 in conference, but the season before they were 8-20 overall, 6-8 in conference, and this is a bad volleyball conference. There's no really sugarcoating it. This is a 3-team league.
Right.
And it's a 1-bid league when it comes to the NCAA tournament. And if you're not able to compete with Dayton, and if you lose, I honestly don't think you should lose a match 3-0 in this conference unless to anybody really. And they've done that multiple times in the past 2 seasons. And it's not to Dayton or VCU. And that's a problem. I mean, it should be SLU and Dayton should be fighting for that top spot every year. And Cordes proved it was possible. And of course, Ann Cordes was an absolute find by Cheryl Levick. But it's just frustrating. I mean, I think he's been here 8 seasons, 8 to 10 years. So, which is crazy. I can't even believe it's been that long. I'm starting to feel my age over here.
It seems like they've got a tough schedule. I mean, they do play Dayton. They've got them on the schedule a total of 4 times.
Yeah, and that's going to be weird.
Their remaining non-conference games, you've got Butler, Iowa State, K-State, and Marquette. So it's all power conference teams.
Yeah, it'll be a good test for them. I'm interested to see how they handle that schedule. You got Butler coming up on Tuesday, and then a Dayton doubleheader on February the 13th, 12 and 6 p.m. at Chaffetz Pavilion. I'm assuming they'll be on ESPN Plus. I know a little inside baseball that they have. Usually if they have more than one event happening at once that needs to be streamed, it's tough. But I imagine they've rectified that situation, given that they're not going to have fans. Really, I don't see how they can put fans in the pavilion. It's so small.
Yeah, and the only one listed on ESPN Plus so far is Butler, but I don't know if these decisions are made that far out anyway. It's about a week. Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of decisions being made anywhere more than a week out. I was tweeting back and forth with Liana, the Rhode Island fan, yesterday, and she said, I'm excited for our game this week. And I go, I don't commit to a game until shoot around.
Right.
It's like that.
That's so true.
It's like the Wedding Crashers rule. You never commit to a relative unless you're absolutely sure they have a pulse.
Yeah. We learned that the hard way in all the conference tournaments last year that were shutting down mid-game in some cases. It's just been like that for now a year, almost a full year of this.
It's funny because I remember it was my last day at a job on the Friday the Billikens were supposed to play. And I was like, all right, I'm going to take a half day on my last day, and I'm going to be ready for the Billiken game. And then I took a half day, and then I just didn't get to – I just went home, and I was like, well, I got nothing better to do the rest of the day. So
yeah, it was a rough day.
let's not look at bad times. let's look forward to the future. Women's basketball. Dayton on February 2nd, they lost 59-52 overtime. They really gave it to Dayton. It started out really kind of slowly. It was a really low scoring game in the first quarter, and then it turned out offensive the rest of the game. And I think Dayton's size and physicality just wore down the Billikens. You had Harbison, Clark, and MST leading the way. That Whelan for Dayton is really, really good. They held her pretty much to below her average. She only had about 13 points. Their center inside played really well. I cannot, for the life of me, remember her name.
Is that Jenna Giacone?
No, it's I'll pull it up actually because we're all for good content here. We go. It's so funny. I almost stop scrolling when I see postponed.
Yeah, right.
like I was looking for the box score for the game against Tenon Magassa. Tenon Magassa had 16 points, but you mentioned Giacone she had 20 points actually. So she really took the Billikens to the woodshed in this one. Kaija was fantastic. 6 of 19 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. She's really improved her 3-point shooting, I think.
Yeah, Clark had a good game too.
Clark had a great game. She really kept the Billikens in it for a while. She went 4 of 4 from 3. The Billikens sending it to OT was actually a stroke of brilliance the entire game from Lisa Stone. She dominated Dayton on under the basket inbounds plays. I think Jeff Frenetti mentioned it multiple times on the broadcast at how easily the Billikens had gotten baskets out of inbounds plays from under the basket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's almost one of those games where it doesn't really benefit you to go to overtime. They only had 20 total bench minutes. So it really was all about the starters in this one. And I don't know if fatigue played a factor or not, but, Flowers was having a rough game offensively. And Harbison, she it wasn't the most efficient game, but, right. She certainly lets her impact be felt out there. Dayton remains the team in the A10 that they can't get over.
Yeah.
It seems like every year it comes down to Dayton as the team they just can't beat. Even when we're number 2 or 3 in the conference, they're kind of always in the way. So it's a bummer for this to happen in overtime, but sooner or later you got to think some of these are going to start going our way.
Yeah, I think the big stat that really stands out in this one is Rachel Kent, 0 of 4 from 3. You have to think if she has you have to think Dayton keyed in on her, and if she does break out in this game, the Billikens may have gone to her at the end of regulation.
Yeah, it wasn't a super attractive offensive game either way.
No.
SLU was 18 of 58 from the field. And then when you look at Flowers and Kent, 2 of the starters, who gave you a combined 80 minutes of play, they were 1 of 17 from the field. So even though Flowers was the leading rebounder, you gotta be a little more efficient than that if you're going to beat one of the best, if not the best team in the conference.
Unfortunately, Brooke Flowers seems to have kind of plateaued after her freshman year, and so I don't really know what to attribute it to. But she did have a great game a couple of weeks ago while the men were on pause, where she went for like 21 rebounds and like 12, 15 points. But these are the games that I feel like Lisa Stone has done such a good job of building this program back to. This program has never been a winning program. It really never has been. She's done a great job at getting to a point where you're challenging for the A10 title every year, but there's something that just is stopping them from getting over that hump.
Yeah, if you really want to kill some time someday, really go dig into their archives a little bit, and you realize this program has never ever been good. Back when I was there in the early 2000s, they made one NIT, And that was the best season that I had seen in my time there. I know they've done that since then a few times, and they've had actually much better teams. But this is it's a program that's never made the NCAA tournament. So that's goal number one. And it doesn't look like that's going to be in the cards this year unless they're able to kind of catch a little magic at the conference tournament. But yeah, I like where Stone's got the program. They're at least competitive. They're a team that's going to have a winning record every year. And, she's got them pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, I think she's the right woman for the job for sure. I think going forward, I want to see her build on classes. I don't think she's ever really truly built on. Yeah. She'll bring in one or two players and then it seems to not round them out into full teams.
Yeah, bridge classes to really build out your roster. Yeah, I agree. Hopefully that starts to turn soon, though.
Yeah, speaking of turning the page, if you will, on the 5th, that was Friday, they took down LaSalle in Philadelphia, where they remain right now, and they're actually playing St. Joe's right now. But they beat LaSalle 72-65. And of course, Harbison leads the way again. Harbison had 21, Smith Traore had 17, and Rachel Kent broke back out from that Dayton game and had 16. This was a nice turnaround for the Billikens. LaSalle hung with them the entire way almost, and but the Billikens kind of pulled away in the second and third, and then held on in the fourth.
Yeah, and this was also a game they went deeper. They got the bench a lot more involved. Like I said, in the Dayton game, they played a combined 20 minutes in an overtime game. They had more than double that in a regulation game. So it was nice to see that. And then, they obviously took care of business at LaSalle, something the men's team was not able to do last week, and just played a nice, well-rounded game.
They actually got a walk-on in the game.
Yeah.
Which I can't remember the last time I watched the women play and they got a walk-on. I don't even know. I've never even heard this name. I'm not even going to pronounce it because it's insulting that I would get it wrong.
Yeah, I'm not going to try either. She's new. She's a freshman from Des Moines. But I think Lauren Hughes was a walk-on technically.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, so she got in a fair amount over her career.
I always get Lauren Hughes and Lauren Woods confused, if you remember Lauren Woods from years ago. But yeah, they held off a balanced scoring attack from LaSalle. I mean, they had 4 players in double figures. But it's good when you can go on the road and kind of redeem yourself after a loss. And it's a tough road trip for the Billikens as they're going to play. They play LaSalle. They played LaSalle in Philly. Now they go across the road, play St. Joe's today and then tomorrow. So it's real tough road to hoe for the Billikens.
Yeah, three consecutive road games is that's tough. No matter what point of the season you're in, that's a big challenge.
Then hold on, we're not even done with it. Friday they got to go to they come back home to play VCU, and then Sunday we'll play Richmond at home. So a tough week. That's in 9 days. That's 5 games in 9 days, which is absolutely bonkers. But that's what's going to happen when you kind of when you have such a long pause and you got to get these games in. You get them in where you can, and we're seeing that on the men's side as well.
Right. I mean, they were off for over a month, longer than the men were. Games from December 9th through January 16th were all postponed. And then they had another one January 19th. And again on the 22nd, they had to replace Rhode Island with UMass. So they've had just a crazy streak of bad luck this season in terms of scheduling. So 5 games in 9 days is grueling, but inevitable when you do have to hit a minimum number of games played this season, to be eligible for the postseason.
As I'm watching this women's game against St. Joe's, I see Lisa Stone looking awesome in I can't tell if she's wearing joggers with or joggers or yoga pants, with like a white, almost like a rain jacket, like a windbreaker. Where do you stand on the coaches' fashion this year?
It hasn't bothered me at all not seeing them in suits. For what it just kind of feels like this season, nothing matters. Maybe it's because I'm not getting dressed up to go to work and I'm just staying home in sweats. But no, seeing them in sweats, it doesn't seem to bother me. A lot of coaches are hung up on the polo shirt and khaki pants look. So you get some unfortunately baggy and pleated khakis sometimes, but otherwise, it's all right. It doesn't bother me.
It's an
She's
optical
smart to go with a
illusion.
sportier look. They seem to do better with a sportier look than a business casual look.
I 100% agree. It's an optical illusion in the pants. No, you know what really what bothers me the most? I think the coaches need to either go all suits or they need to go with the sporty look. I really don't like the business casual heading out to the bar look.
No, it's bad. You get a lot of I guess Bob Knight and Bob Huggins have always kind of been doing, a sweater or like the golf shell kind of thing, with, collared shirt underneath. And yeah, it doesn't work. It's got to be one or the other.
You see like Calipari, I think he wore like jeans with like a blazer, like a plaid blazer. I just did not. The coaches got to look the same. You got to get a similar.
I agree with you. You've got to get the staff on the same page.
Yeah, I love the sporty look though. I like.
Yeah, Ford Stewart should be in charge of the staff look for the men's team this year.
Absolutely, I think he's probably in charge of the manager's look. Because they always, the old, that's the look is the manager look. The coaches are just joining in.
That's right.
It's fantastic. I love it. I love seeing all the gear that whatever the coaches knew are putting the logo on. I'm a gear guy. Like I want to see what cool stuff they're wearing.
Yeah. Sure.
But moving on to men's basketball, I don't think we need to jump into the Dayton, the Arch Baron Cup, or the LaSalle games. I think we've witnessed them, and it doesn't need to be restated. I think we can throw those out the window with the pause. But we had a game at Chaffetz Arena on yesterday, Saturday, the 6th. Yes. St. Bonaventure came to town. How were you feeling leading into this game?
Nervous. Very nervous. We needed this one. After you get that loss to LaSalle, even with the break, the super long shutdown that we had, pretty much everybody had us in the tournament. You come out, lose the first one to Dayton, and people go, okay, frustrating game. Felt a lot like the Minnesota game. Kept getting within arm's distance, and they would keep us within arm's distance every time we got close. But the LaSalle one, we really needed, because that's the one we went from, a lot of the basketball writers calling us in to calling us out of the tournament, just based on the sort of like blind look at the resume. So when the sort of surprise top team in the conference comes in, it was an opportunity to kind of make a statement and go, okay, we can do this. We're healthy again. We could still play some good ball and put together a stretch run here to kind of put ourselves back in that tournament conversation.
You mentioned nervous. I think I tweeted out, it felt a lot like leading up to the A10 tournament in 2019. I don't think I sat down this entire game.
Yeah.
I think my Apple Watch told me to breathe. It was there was a lot of nervous energy. To West Pine Bill's credit, though, they were on top of this one from the jump. He was texting me all week, telling me, I got a feeling.
Yeah.
And then tweeted out, of course, that day he's got a feeling. And the Billikens came out on fire. What did you see in that initial flurry that kind of led to the Billikens jumping out to that big early lead?
Oh, I saw the team that we had in November and December. The team that got everybody involved on offense. One of the complaints that we've had since coming back from the shutdown in those first two games is you weren't seeing Jimerson get the ball at all. And he winds up with 2 early threes in this one, which was great to see. We were making the extra pass. We looked good. At the defensive end, just clogging lanes, getting steals all over the place. Really frustrating St. Bonaventure, playing some hard defense. So in the first half of the first half, we looked really sharp, looked great. And, everybody with West Pine Bills and everybody felt vindicated about feeling good about this one.
Yeah, I'm sure my neighbors were very unhappy with me. I was very happy, but my neighbors probably weren't. Good thing I live in a building that's brand new and nobody has moved in yet. So,
Yeah.
who do you think showed up early besides Jimerson? I thought Yuri Collins did really well at the point early on, and I thought he was a big part of the offense, being able to find open shooters and open men all over the court.
Yeah, Jimerson was the one who really stood out to me. And yeah, you're right. Collins was moving the ball around well. Everybody was executing on defense though, and that was really a full team effort. As things sort of tapered off that half, I think we still got some good effort out of the starters, but it was really Linson and Jacobs that kind of kept us in it. As Bonaventure started to close the gap in the rest of the first half, and then to start the second half.
I want to stop with Linson right there because I think we can pretty much give Linson well, I guess we'll keep the werewolf of the week going since I guess I came up with it. Does Linson get the werewolf of the week? Because my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, just based on the stat sheet, I don't know if you could give it to him, but he played harder than anybody else out there for us, unquestionably, in that game. And that's usually, it's funny, that's not really if you're going to stereotype the Euro big, that's not something that the Euro players are known for. But man, did he play hard! He was on the floor diving for loose balls. He was blocking shots. He was grabbing rebounds, and he's not really known as a big rebounder or a shot blocker, but I think he had more blocks than French yesterday. Just really disrupting everything on both ends, and he seemed to have more energy than anyone on the floor when he was out there.
Yeah, it was. I think I noticed like that first possession, that first defensive possession, he was up in Oshun's grill. Like Oshun was going, he was not letting Oshun do anything in his mind. He was like, this guy's not doing anything against me. He was full of confidence against Oshun. He knew he had him, and I don't know where it came from, but it was very impressive to see. Did you see Chapley talk about his chirps? Apparently Linson was talking a lot of smack out there on the court.
Yeah, I didn't. It was hard to. There was only one play where I kind of saw him really mix it up with somebody, and he walked away before it got too ugly. He was, I think it was on an inbound under, where somebody else stepped in on his behalf. I can't remember if it was Goodwin or who, and Linson walked out to the top of the key to guard somebody for the inbound play, but it was at that point where I could kind of tell maybe his mouth was also high energy yesterday too.
I love that. I go back and forth on talking. I like to do it, but then I get myself in trouble. Like when I'm playing like rec sports or like semi-competitive rec sports or whatever.
Just don't get attacked in a close game is all I ask.
Right. Exactly. That's all you ask from guys, unless you're the coach, then you can get a tech because you got to answer to it in the press conference.
Sure. Yeah.
What were you nervous with Perkins in that first half? He didn't really. We were waiting for him to come out of his shell, and as we learned, he eventually did. But what did you see in that first half from him that maybe was still concerning?
He was still forcing things. The way he was against Dayton and LaSalle, where, I think the point I made last time was that he just kind of looked like he was still in non-conference as a junior, where he was still getting the speed of the D1 game, still learning our offense. And he just seems to kind of force things a little bit. Like he has a quick trigger, like he gets the ball and panics a little bit. Or he just needed to kind of get in the flow of the game, which, by the end, he certainly did. He's the one in the second half who turned a close game into a comfortable I don't know if I'd say comfortable, but he's the one who kind of put it away for us down the stretch.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I was not comfortable. I was like standing in front of my. I
Yeah,
looked like Majerus in front of my TV with my hands on my
yeah,
knees, like it was like me in
yeah.
the Super Bowl in '99 when I was like 9 years old again. Just standing. Everyone's
Yeah.
telling me to get out of the way.
I mean, Bonaventure even took I guess they really only had a 1 point lead, right? 47-46, I want to say.
Yeah,
Um,
that was scary.
yeah, yeah,
That was unnerving and full marks to Coach Ford. Uh,
yeah,
for what I mean, I'm assuming whatever turned the corner again after that was said in the locker room,
yeah.
or in Lorenzini's, I should say. But to call that timeout and then remind his team was big time.
Yeah, and it was weird too because it wound up. I think Goodwin and French got pulled for a little bit, and then we went on. Then we kind of went on a little bit of a run. Perkins hit a couple. I think Jacobs hit a couple. Linson again gave us some high energy, and Thatch gave us some great defense. And we had Yuri out there, and all of a sudden we went from being down one to up by 6 or so for a while, and then eventually pushed that to double digits for the last 5 or 6 minutes. But it was really that lineup that got it done for us. Goodwin came back in a little before French did, but it was not French's day. He didn't score a point. He did grab 7 rebounds, and he had a couple nice assists, kickouts to Perkins and Jacobs for some threes at the top of the key that came at key moments. But it wasn't his day, and we wound up going on that run with him on the bench.
You mentioned Hassan French, and I really wanted to get into it because I don't know if I have the timeline right, but I felt like we went on about a 4 or 6 point run with Hassan on the court and Linson ready to come in. Hassan was still getting double teamed in the post, even though he had a terrible first half and a
Yeah,
terrible day scoring, was still getting double teamed. And I think it was Jacobs just kind of tossing the ball into Hassan. Hassan just kind of waiting for it, and then just kind of shovel passing out to Jacobs or Perkins, and they were just hitting the three, and that's
yeah.
when he went on the run. And then you bring Linson in, and Linson just decided to be an animal today or yesterday, and
Yeah.
the rest was history, I felt like.
Yeah, 4 for 4 from the field, and like you said, not afraid of Oshuni at all. French was Oshuni, in addition to being really long, he's got great shot blocking instincts. He disrupts or blocks everything, and he was in French's head. French hesitated when he should have just gone straight up to begin with, and then he tried to double pump when Oshuni was just sitting there waiting for him. He wasn't comfortable with him all day, so it was really reassuring to see him kick it out for those. I think Jacobs got the first one and Perkins got the second one from him. You want to see that from French, who has been as guilty as Perkins of forcing things since we returned from the break. So that was reassuring that French kind of knew maybe it wasn't his day in the post and was finding his teammates at that time. But I don't remember the exact timeline of that line. Maybe I'm giving that one lineup too much credit.
Yeah, no, I thought French did a great job. I think that's one of the things I've been a little critical of for him, critical about with him is his forcing things and not maybe looking to pass when things aren't going his way, and just trying to play through it and do it himself. I think we need to get into the big man on campus, Jordan Goodwin. He had kind of an intriguing day. 32 minutes, 4 of 8 from the field, 9 points, 3 turnovers, which actually seems low. I thought he was worse than that. Actually a good stat line, but I thought he had some issues in this game.
Yeah, I think it's because his turnovers were all of this sort of they weren't completely unforced, but they were poor decisions. I'll put it that way. And they all came at times where they really stung. I I can't exactly remember if Bonaventure converted on all three of them, but you're right. It does feel like he had about twice as many. And yeah, he did only have one foul, not his normal rebounding numbers. And I didn't think his decision making in terms of, or shot selection was bad. But he did look just a little bit off yesterday. Not a bad game, but certainly not what you normally want to see out of Goodwin.
Before the pause, Goodwin had figured out his free throw shooting, or so it seemed. I think everybody can agree that he looked really good from the line, and since coming back has kind of looked off. Do you think that's fatigue, or do you think that's maybe him not getting into the gym and keeping it fresh?
It's probably a little of both. I think. Yeah, free throw shooting is one of those things that takes forever to get up to, polish, up to par, and then it's something that goes away so quickly. So hopefully he's getting some reps in now to kind of get back on track with that. The other thing is it seems like teams are making an effort to put him and French on the line. I don't think that was maybe as true yesterday.
I was shocked that they did not.
Yeah.
Well, I guess French wasn't on the court very much, and then Goodwin was off the court for a long time in the second.
Yeah, and I think did all four of his free throws come in the first half? I know at least two of them did.
I believe so. I believe all four.
I think they all four did. But yeah, but LaSalle and Dayton made a little more of an effort. It seemed like to put both French and Goodwin on the line, and when you're a target of something like that, it can probably get in your head a little bit too.
I think it probably had a lot to do with Bonaventure having a short bench too. I mean, all they had was Oshun inside, and if he would have fouled out, they would have been screwed.
That's right. And Bonaventure, they just wanted to shorten the floor yesterday without depth. They really do go five deep. They get fewer bench minutes and points than almost any other team in the country. The starting five's great, but they want to slow the game down. They want to get you into their rhythm, and I think for the most part they succeeded in that yesterday. That zone press they were running against us really seemed to bother us for a while, especially as the first half dragged on, and then to start the second half. So it's probably not a style that creates a lot of fouls, but I think Goodwin can refine his form.
Any final thoughts on this game before I kind of go over the final stats?
No, I think a bottom line is really just a double-digit win over the best team in the conference coming in, or team with the best record, first place, and looking like our best at-large team for the conference. It was really a meaningful win, and I know what the color commentators say is taken with a grain of salt, especially when it's Pete Gillen.
They're marketing. They're marketers with a microphone. That's what I think I called.
That's right. I mean, they were both saying, "Hey, these are both tournament teams," and heads held high for both teams. And I tend to think they're right. I'd like to see both teams take care of business down the stretch. So good test against Bonaventure, and maybe we'll see them again in the conference tournament.
I think Bonaventure is a lot like the Billikens of 2019. A team with 6 or 7 guys max that if they get hot and they play with with a lot of effort, and they can go 4 games in 4 days and make the tournament, but would eventually get smoked by a team like Virginia Tech.
Yeah, that's true.
Looking at the final stats, Billikens win 70-59. The Billiken defense holds Oshunahi to just 7 points. You mentioned Oshun had 5 blocks and 8 rebounds. Only 3 guys in double figures. For the Bonnies, they were 6 of 19 for 3. So, held them right on their average. Their field goal percentage, they were 36.4. So great job from the Billiken defense there. Perkins led the way with 21 points. He had 2 steals in there with 6 rebounds as well on 4 of 10 shooting from 3 and 6 of 15 from the floor. Demarius Jacobs poured in 11 points on 3 of 6 shooting from 3. Fantastic numbers from him. Just an all-around great scoring effort from the lot. I think only Hassan French did not score in this game. So, and great minutes from Fred Thatch and Demarius Jacobs, of course.
I'm surprised you haven't mentioned your guy Bell yet.
Jimmy Bell played outstanding in 2 minutes.
I mean, well, I think,
5 minutes, 2 points.
Yeah. He and on both of his, he looked great on obviously on the one he made, but I think the one he missed, he looked really comfortable back.
Yes, I think I tweeted that actually.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like something that he was. It looked like a veteran.
Yes.
Yeah.
He looked
so
like.
I'd like to see him getting a little more minutes as we head down the stretch here.
I am in complete agreement. I think you will see. I think he will as soon as, I think he's still working probably his fitness back. Do you think, speaking of bigs, I guess we'll get into the quarterback controversy. We'll manufacture a quarterback controversy. Does Linson get a start against Rhode Island?
No, I don't think you can do that. I think you got to keep starting French. Maybe kind of shorten. It seems like French's leash has already kind of been shortened a little bit. But I think you got to work Linson in, and I'd like to see Bell's minutes go up a little bit too. But I'd rather see us kind of go with Haas and hope he works out, whatever it is that he needs to do to get back to form.
Yeah, I think it was really scary for Billiken fans at certain points early on. I know it was a little scary for me, seeing that Hassan kind of seemed like an only option at one point or another in the season, and you worried about where our depth was up top. So it's good to see Linson show out and definitely Bell look very comfortable in his limited minutes.
Absolutely.
Looking around the A10, week in review, 131 Fordham and VCU was postponed. Did you get to check out the game on the 2nd with Duquesne and Dayton, where Duquesne opened up their new arena?
No, unfortunately, that happened. It was like an afternoon game, so I was.
It was 8. It was 8. It started at 9. It started at 9 Eastern time.
Okay, I'm getting mixed up with another one.
Yeah.
I didn't see that one. I had to watch the recap of that one. But good statement game for Duquesne and their new arena, which looks really nice, actually.
Beautiful arena. I don't like it. They decided they were going to be the best arena the most what do you call it? Up to date. What's the word that everybody says? It's state of the art. The most state of the art arena in the A10. So they've taken over. I think we were the newest for a while, but they've taken over. Duquesne beat Dayton 69-64 because of course we lose, and then the second also had George Mason and Richmond were on the schedule. That was postponed due to COVID. I think we all know that saga with Richmond. On the third, UMass beat Fordham 60-54. On the third, you had VCU over Rhode Island 63-62. Bonaventure and St. Joe's was postponed, which I believe led to the game against Bonaventure being scheduled, but I'm not with SLU. I'm not sure. And then Dayton over George Mason 74-65 on Friday the 5th. And then you had Saturday 10, Fordham over LaSalle 78-68. Did you catch this one?
Only the end of it. Didn't LaSalle beat Fordham by something like 35 earlier this year?
Of course they did.
I think this is kind of something that's happening in every conference where the results make almost no sense. Everybody's beating everybody. You look at our conference right now. Normally, I guess last season we got a little used to Dayton running away with it, but everybody's got at least 2 losses this year. No matter how many games they've played. So it's going to be a dogfight. And unfortunately, we don't have anybody who's a dead lock for the tournament, even if a few teams are looking somewhat promising. But yeah, I just get used to these. I mean, I'm sure everybody is by now, but these crazy results are just going to keep happening.
Yeah, I think it really dawned on me that this was going to happen as soon as the Missouri Valley decided they were going to do back-to-backs.
Yeah.
Where you would play, at the same arena on consecutive days, and you saw teams would win a game by like 60. I mean, you're seeing it today. Right now, as we speak, Drake's about to lose their first game. Valparaiso's up 11 with 1:46 left to go. But, yeah, I think that's when it kind of dawned on me that this would happen. This whole season's kind of like, whose line is it anyway? Everything's made up and the points don't matter.
Yeah, I think it's one of the hardest jobs is to be the people who have to, put a tournament together at the end of the season. And I always complain about what a bad job they did anyway. And never more than this season is it just an impossible task. You're going to have teams who have played all different amounts of games, let alone less non-conference games or fewer non-conference games to really compare strength of schedule. So it's impossible. So I don't know. I just hope, however they decide this thing, I hope we're on the inside looking out.
Yesterday evening at 7:00 Central, UMass played Rhode Island. At Rhode Island, the Minutemen beat the Rams 75-63. This game was as helter-skelter as it gets. UMass basically presses the entire game, runs the entire game. It's like kind of like a modified Grinnell style. It's crazy. I don't think we got a lot an idea of what Rhode Island brings, other than I don't know if they are the team you're used to seeing out of Rhode Island, which is the next team the Billikens are scheduled to play.
Yeah, and Rhode Island was one of those teams where I didn't think they were going to be very good this year, well before the season started. But then once it became clear that every transfer was going to be immediately eligible, I thought, well, they probably have as much talent as any team outside of SLU and Richmond coming into the season. So I kind of thought, Rhode Island might actually be sneaky good. But it really hasn't come together for them quite like I expected. They're one game under 500 in conference, 2 games under 500 for the year. They've somehow managed to avoid major shutdowns. They've played 20 games, almost twice as many as we have. But yeah, they don't seem to be quite as balanced. I think they do have some young talent, and I still am. I think I'd buy low on them for next season.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. I think they have the Duke and Kentucky syndrome of 2020, 2021, in that they have a brand new team put together, and without the 3-month lead up to a season, they're struggling.
What's going on with Fats Russell? If he came off the bench in this UMass game, and then,
he had some back problems, I think.
Okay, all right. Yeah,
but he looked pretty good. I thought he got his way to the basket a few times really easily. Scored 9 points, 3 of 5 from the field in 20, and he played 27 minutes. So definitely not 40 as you would, come to expect from a guy like Fats. Walker looked really good for Rhode Island. He had 26 points in 24 minutes with 14 total rebounds. He's going to be a handful inside. That's Antoine Walker. He's a 6'7" junior out of DC. That'll be a fun matchup with him and French and him and Linson. And of course, they have one of the Mitchell twins, the other Mitchell twin being out for the year with an injury. So I think we're going to see a lot of Bell. What do you think? A lot of Bell, Linson, Hassan, just kind of in and out.
Yeah, it's definitely a game we're going to need to go deep. Do we know? Is Fats expected to be kind of up to full speed by then?
I got to imagine so. Definitely not 100%, but I think he'll be ready to go. And I think he'll start. If he got 27 minutes in this game, I think he's ready to start the next game. But you never know how he felt after sleeping on that injury for an evening. So I think it remains to be seen. It'll be fun. Hopefully the game, obviously I don't even like previewing games. I sat down with the LaSalle guys and did a whole interview, and then it was just completely useless. Yeah, because it was another month before we played them. So Yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. Obviously, hopefully the 800 fans or so in Chaffetz will be rocking again. And yeah, I
It's
guess
it's a relief to play back-to-back home games too.
yes.
We've had incidents on both of our last two trips, between the late cancellation with Richmond and then a mechanical issue on the way home from LaSalle with a plane that I think cost us some practice time. So being able to play a couple games in a row at home is big this time of year.
Crazy that it didn't actually happen in Olean this time.
Yeah, can happen anywhere.
And big news out of the A10 I woke up to this morning. I'm sure you've seen this as well. UMass is actually on pause. And this is a strange situation because it's not within the programs. It's the entire UMass athletic department is now on pause. What have you seen about this?
So my understanding it's the school itself that I guess labeled itself as like high risk now or something like that, and because of that, the whole athletic department had to shut down. So it's the first case of this that I've seen. I don't know if I'm sure there have been others, but this is an unusual one.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure where you stand. I think you kind of know that I'm, with kind of the shutdowns and I like the protocols. I want, players to stay locked down and whatnot. So, but I just can't imagine shutting down the entire athletic department because of something happening.
Yeah, I think it must be based on just a number of positive tests across the campus.
Yeah.
And that they had a threshold, they hit it, and that just means, all right, everything's off. So how long is this supposed to last? Is it?
I'm pulling up the actual tweet now.
I guess the one positive for UMass is it gives Trey Mitchell a little bit more time to heal up because they won that Rhode Island game without him.
Yes. They're gonna need him back. Or Spin Zone is. Are they better without Trey Mitchell?
Well, I don't know. I guess you can argue it either way. They're 6-2 in conference now, though, and I think McCall has done the job saving so far that he needed to.
The statement out of UMass. Due to the continuing surge in COVID-19 cases at UMass Amherst, revealed at the campus symptomatic and asymptomatic testing sites, the operational posture of the campus has been raised to high risk. As a part of a number of public health measures implemented by campus, all athletic activities, including games and practices, will pause for UMass sports programs. This new designation will go into effect at 2 p.m. Sunday, February 7th, and be in place for a minimum of 14 days. It will only be lifted when public health conditions improve substantially. Now, yeah. Now, in the replies, there's some replies to this. Looking for student athletes to protest it. Again, a lot of people saying this is an overreach. I tend to kind of agree, but not like. I think I get it, but it's frustrating for sure. There are some replies where blaming frat parties, which at UMass not necessarily surprising. Not to overgeneralize, but the real scary wording in this is it will only be lifted when public health conditions improve substantially.
Yeah, that kind of leaves it open-ended for administrators there. Now, so is that dated? What's the date? Is that today's date?
Yes.
Okay.
2 p.m. today. So as of an hour ago.
So they've got a game the 14th.
2 hours ago.
Against Bonaventure. And then I guess if it's a full 2 weeks, then this pretty much kills the game on Saturday the 20th at Duquesne, which only leaves them with 2 more games on the schedule.
Correct.
At St. Joe's and against Richmond at home. And that gets them, because they're only 7-4. They've played 11 games this season.
Oh, my.
That gets them to 13 if those last 2 stay on the schedule. So UMass is now fighting for that bare minimum number of games to be eligible for the tournament.
That's not good. obviously I wasn't surprised to see a team get shut down, but I mean, to see it be kind of as a result of an entire campus's quote unquote actions, I guess, was very, very surprising and it bummed me out, man.
It's weird. It makes you wonder if teams, if programs can kind of separate themselves and say, hey, we're going to stay over here for a few weeks while you guys figure this out. And as long as we're all clear, I don't know. It seems like there are ways to sort of, I don't want to say get around because, I agree, err on the side of caution, yes. But at the same time, within reason.
Yeah, you don't want to. You certainly don't want to. Like, we saw what happens when you try to circumvent protocols. Richmond. You saw what happened there, but you definitely want to figure out how you can get through a season. Whether you need to set up cots in the athletic facilities, like. What do you got to do? Set up Xboxes? I just keep everybody. I don't know. I don't know what you got to do, but at least the Patriots aren't in the Super Bowl. So, but you got Tampa. You got Tampa out there in the Super Bowl. So, I'm sure there will be Patriots fans keeping a big eye on this one. But I think that just about does it for Around the A10. One quick note, obviously, on baseball and softball. The teams will start the season on the 18th and 19th of this month, respectively. No word yet as to whether or not they will have fans allow fans at the Billiken Sports, and I can't imagine. Softball will be really difficult to do, but I mean, again, it is outside, and I think a lot of people have come to appreciate the idea that outside is better in this world we live in currently. So. Any final notes on Around the A10 or with this next week?
No, just that it's going to be a wild ride the rest of the way. So buckle in.
Well, again, I want to thank everyone who has sent kind words to me over the last 2 years with the house that Rick built and listened. And I hope you guys continue to enjoy these episodes. I want to thank Kyle Cassidy specifically for reaching out. I want to thank The Torch on Billikens.com for messaging me personally and telling and showing his appreciation. Because I mean, there's a lot of times I do this and I don't think anybody gives a flying whatever what I have to say or enjoys listening to my terrible voice. So with that said, my name is Zach Miller. You can find me on Twitter at Zach Miller THTRB. Peter Hale. Peter is a tweeter on Twitter. I think you still are. And continue to follow the House the Rick Built Twitter account. I don't know what will happen with that. That remains to be seen. That's at House Rick Built on Twitter. Peter, thanks again for joining me. And I look forward to talking to you next week.
Yeah, you too, Zach. Thanks as always.
All right. Have a good one.
You too, man.